We'll get this going. Happy to have Adam up here. Adam's been with us since year one in our tenure here, and been a real valuable member of our organization and our staff, and it's good to have him up here with me as we talk about our 53. Obviously, the last few days, haven't been there myself as a player for a number of years. It's gut-wrenching to watch these players, the angst, the anxiety, the nervousness, and more so than anything, just watching guys who have put everything that they have in preparation and all their heart and mind and everything they've got into a goal, and when it's not realized, that's really tough to deliver that message. What we try to do is look them in the eye and tell them the truth. And the nice thing now is, at this point, with the larger practice squad, most of them are here in some capacity, and we really look at our practice squad of part of our team and an extension of our team, and I really appreciate the league allowing for that. The COVID rules, up that to 16 players, and we've stuck with that, and I think that's good for our league. It's good for football. It's really the version of a developmental program that we have. We try to do things in-house, but that certainly allows for it, and we're utilizing that to the best of our abilities. But with that, we'll open it up to questions on the 53, and you guys go ahead.
John, Trey Sermon made the initial 53
Yeah.
waived yesterday. What went into the decision to waive Trey, who's just a third-round draft?
Yeah. So when we kept, five halfbacks and a fullback and four tight ends, we knew that wasn't sustainable long term. But we felt like the players we had were worthy of that. So we had strength at each of those positions. The bottom line, J.P. Mason just played too well, and we felt like he made our team better. And the hard part of that equation is, on Trey, it's been much chronicled. His readiness last year. Not that he wasn't ready. He wasn't ready to play like we felt we needed him to last year. To Trey's credit, he was challenged and he answered the bell in every way this year. And so, really proud of Trey for that. We got this kid out of Georgia Tech as a backup, and we couldn't deny at the end of the day that he hadn't earned a spot on the roster. What J.P. Mason becomes, I don't know. We're very encouraged, and we think that he's really going to be a good football player for us. He runs in our style, and ultimately it came down to that. Now, when we decided to keep that on the original 53, we were going to ride as long as we could. I think the transaction that probably made it happen quicker than we thought was that Blake Hance became available. He brings real five-position versatility. So sometimes we talk about guys' versatility. He's actually done it in our league, played five positions, and has that center versatility, which is so important. And we put a claim in not knowing if we'd get him, and we're pleased when we did. At that point, we had to make a decision. Where does it come from? And we talked through that with Trey. We'll find out at 1 today if he's been claimed. If not, we'd love to have Trey back, because I think Trey really has a bright future in this league, and it just came down to numbers.
Was there any attempt to trade Trey?
Yeah, we had discussions throughout camp, and I think it speaks to Trey's talents that those were initiated by other teams calling us, and so we'll see where that goes in terms of claims and all that, but can't tell you how highly we think of the young man with just how he's handled the situation here, the way he went to work, and then the way he handled it right down to the end. So nothing but good things to say about Trey Sermon.
Something unique about the scouting of running backs, where you guys in your organization have more success with undrafted and lower round guys, and you have the time where it's harder to predict?
That's a good question, and we'll always look at our processes. We do every year. The one thing I think we won't apologize is for having success in later rounds, whether it be Matt Breida or Jeff Wilson, or those guys weren't even drafted, and J.P. Mason and Elijah Mitchell. I mean, we're happy. We don't wear it as a badge of honor. Some teams are very beholden to their draft choices. Like, they're not going to move on from a draft choice. We're not that team. We're going to play the best players. And but we're also not the team that we're going to prove a point and let everyone know we'll cut a third-round pick. I take no joy in doing that, and every draft pick that doesn't like shine, that I take that personally, and we all do. We have a good process, and I think our late round success, I always go back to, I think it's the real synergies between personnel and coaching. That's why I think we hit on those guys. I guess you go back in our history, some of the running backs that haven't worked out, we'll take a hard look at that, but confident in the group as a whole, and confident in this roster as a whole. I think it's a good one. It gives us an opportunity. Remember playing for Mike Shanahan, he used to, it was almost every meeting. All you can ask for is a chance in this league, and this team has it, as it's constructed, has a chance, and that's a good feeling going into a year.
You started to answer this about Hance, but what's the plan position-wise for him and for Mixakel and for Jason Poe moving forward?
Yeah. So for Hance, I think I talked to him down there this morning. He got into his hotel room at 1:30, and he was in here early this morning, getting schooled up on the offense, working with Chris Furster, James Craig, and that group, going to work. But when I mentioned his versatility, I think it will be just as that, and then, Brunskill's coming off this hamstring. We're hopeful that we have him for week 1. You just never know with those things. And so having a backup center, someone who's done it, is very important. And so I think that's Blake did a lot of that last year for Cleveland. But he has played, left tackle. He has played right tackle. He's played both guards. And so we're excited about that. Those guys are extremely useful. As for Zakel, as Kyle calls him, Zakel J, he just is a guy who kept getting better every single day, and that's what you want in this league. Came from a smaller school, lesser competition, and so probably it was an eye-opener when he got here, just like it was at the Senior Bowl. I remember Adam talking about at the Senior Bowl, his day 2 was so much better than his day 1, and he's got a lot in his body, and he just kept looking like more and more of an NFL player with every given day. And we have really focused on him at the guards. We didn't want to throw too much, but we do believe that he has center in his future, and he'll start snapping out here and make that part of his repertoire under the thought that the more you can do, the better for him, the better for us. Poe. Poe, that was a tough one, man, because that guy's fight, you talk about a guy you respect, and just the joy he brings to playing football. I think it's palpable. You feel it, and we were hanging on for dear life. That was a hard call, and the guys love him. Like in the locker room, when he makes a play, everybody you hear it, and so we're just going to put him in and allow him to keep getting better. And guys like that, despite the challenges of being a little smaller, when you have heart and fight, and it's not just that, he has ability, those guys tend to make it.
His skill set is so unique. He's shorter, but he's got that natural leverage, kind of I think Chris Furster says a bowling ball.
Yeah.
Is there in position, with the position coaches, when the cut down was happening, there are different positions that are kind of pounding the table for Jason Poe, given that skill set?
No, but my worries were, some of these other teams in the league say, gosh, is someone going to bring him in as a guard / fullback / so I should probably shut up right now because I really like the young man. So,
Adam, how do you look at this draft class? No first round picks, but I don't know, 3, 4 guys maybe could be, pretty big contributors right away. Did you see that in this class? Samuel, even down to 30. Did you see this happening with this draft?
Yeah, I think any draft class, you hope that happens. And we thought we had a lot of talent in there. We thought we got really good value, especially with our first 3 picks. And then on down the line, Purdy, I thought he was probably going to be a 4th rounder, a 5th rounder, and everybody got kind of pushed back. So far, so good. It's been really promising, and we'll see how they go in games.
Was the decision to go 3 quarterbacks specifically because you didn't want to expose Brock?
yes, Brock came in, from day 1, just kind of showed a grasp for our offense. It wasn't too big. I think his experience, this is a guy who's played a lot of football, just command and presence, and he steps in that huddle, and it's his huddle, and not afraid to throw into small windows. There's just a lot to like, and he just earned that spot. And we're a team. If you look at our history, we like keeping two quarterbacks on the active because it allows us to do some things elsewhere. But we also, if you have a guy like him, you don't want to expose him, and we didn't, and we like that room and the way it's constructed right now.
Following up on that, John, a point of clarification on Jimmy. You mentioned in March that you hadn't received any offers from him because of the surgery. Did you ever actually receive an actionable trade offer on Jimmy? And also, how much did keeping Jimmy maybe shake things?
Yeah, that's always an interesting question because it's not like someone emails you, here's our offer. It's discussions, and what I can tell you is with great confidence is like combine time. There were really serious talks with. When I say serious, probably 2-3 teams that I felt like, you'd have to ask them, like this was going to happen. And then that's when that news broke, And so then things went where they went. And we talked a lot about the other day as to why we arrived at where we're at. But I'm glad that we've arrived where we're at.
But after he got healthy, those conversations never got back to that point where you were.
Yeah, and that's why, we were a little at a loss, because, you can talk to his doctor, you can talk to our doctor, you can talk to a lot of people, and he was doing well, but, we're happy that they didn't. We're happy that he's here.
Going back to Mason, he wasn't even a starter in college. How do you guys find someone like that?
Yeah, so he's actually beat out his junior and senior year by a guy who's really highly talented, actually transferred to Alabama this year. Gibbs is his name. So it really got dug out by Warren Ball, who is he's our Midwest scout now, was our Northeast scout, but he cross-checks the running backs. And he dug him out just watching a ton of tape and said, I really like this guy. And I remember he sent me a cut-up on like 4 days before the draft. Watch this guy. So I watched him. Coach Lynn watched him, and we thought he was right up there with everybody. So kudos to Warren for finding him, and obviously it's been a great fit for us.
Another question, different player, Sam Bowman. It seems like he kind of came on your radar late.
Yeah. With Sam,
It's like
I'm sorry.
collaborative thing, but how rewarding is it for you to see a guy chosen where he was to now, be in line to be a major contributor year one?
Yeah, I think with Sam, it sounds like he came on the radar late, but really I think back in August of that year, Ryan Kesnick, who's our Midwest scout, said he's one of his guys that he's convicted on. So we had our eyes on him from then. And then really just throughout the process, we noticed his ball skills, his length, something like we really look at as a guy's length compared to their height, and he measures it like a 6-foot guy. And you actually saw that in some of the preseason games this year, able to get that ball out on the interception and then making the play over the middle. So really, I think it was another collaborative effort with our scouts. Our R&D loved him in terms of his metrics and all that. So we're really excited where he's at, and hopefully he's competing for a spot right now.
Let's do Danny Gray, too, since.
Danny Gray.
New number, right? 6?
Did he get a new number?
That's what I think.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow. Yeah, he made it. Danny, same thing. Danny, we really loved his speed. I think that's the one thing that jumps out on the tape for you and jumped out on the tape at SMU. And then the other thing we really talked about was his toughness. When you got a guy who's fast and tough, catches the ball well, and I think he's going to add a good element to our offense.
That with Danny, I was just down at TCU doing a dual-purpose trip, seeing my one of my daughters, who's a sophomore there, but also stopped by practice. They got some good prospects there. But Sonny Dykes, Kyle's got a little relationship with Sonny, I think from Cabo. They go, and I've known Sonny because I played for his dad in the Japan Bowl way back when, and so. We got on the phone with Sonny, and he just couldn't say enough about the young man. And so, the coach who's coached in Texas for a long time, to say I've never felt speed like that on a field. Some guys have time speed, but his, hey, Sonny, is this speed? Do you feel it on like I've never felt? And so, but just being down there and seeing, because the old SMU staff, a lot of it is over at TCU. just the love those people have for him. He's got an interesting story. He overcame a lot, but the people are just really pulling for him. And after being around Danny, you realize, and he's got a ways to go in terms of the grasp of the system. And we ask a lot of our receivers, but man, we like that kid because it's real speed, but real tough kid as well.
You guys started out at least with 5 running backs and 4 tight ends and a fullback, and 2 rookie running backs with 220 plus. Is that an indication of ground and pound for bully ball?
Yeah, there's certainly been an evolution, in us as an organization and kind of what we covet, and I think some of that's just predicated on how you win games. Some of it, you grab a player like a Deebo Samuel, and you see the physicality that just wears on people, and we try to do a lot of things. I think we've got as good a staff, and a lot of it starts with our head coach, who's our play caller, in terms of gaining schematic edge. But it's not all about scheme. At some point, you got to impose your will on people, and some of our early picks that didn't pan out, saying why, and then probably a rebound effect. All right, we're going to go get a thick, strong, tough, and you start seeing it, and you start. I remember back to Tampa, like defensive coaches getting really upset with me because I would never sit on the bench. Well, I wanted to watch Mike Allstott run somebody over. That lifts a team, and so I think those things start kind of getting ingrained in. All right, this is how we win, and so if we can mix scheme with that mano-a-mano, we're going to impose our will on you, then that's a good thing. And so maybe it has become a theme, and George, the way he plays, kind of embodies that. Trent Williams, you go down the list. So, yeah, that it becomes kind of like a characteristic that we covet. We also, but it's really nice when you get guys who can, impose their will, but also separate and do things and also run. So it's what we try to do, come up with a good mix of all of it.
You guys have always
Yeah.
You guys have always gone heavy on the D line, and you were heavy on O line this year. How much of that is just maybe because McGlinchey and Brunskill are banged up, or is it more of kind of like you do on the D line where you just feel really good about
Well, we go heavy on D line, always have, always will, because it's a philosophy. And because Chris Kasarik, whatever we have, he asks for 10 more, So he wears us out, and we kind of meet in the middle. But in all seriousness, I just feel really good looking at this list. I mean, and like the fact that we got Kamoko Trey to come back. I mean, that's really exciting. So I really see it as 11, and then we got guys like Barrett that are so integral to what we do. So, that is that's a really nice thing. So we're always kind of set up to go heavy there, but it will always be dictated by who the players are. Offensively, we really thought we were going to go 9 this year. Blake at the end, it just kind of you're always scouring, and I want to point out, Adam, Rand Carthon, R.J. Gillen, who leads our pro department, Fred Gamage, Slow. We have so many Slowics. Steve Slowick. We got Bobby and Steve, and then I played for his brother Ryan, so I get and his dad Bob. So so Crowley Hanlon. So they do such a great job of really scouring the league, and sometimes it's a thankless job because they do all this work, and we only claim one guy, and might not claim anyone, but they do the work and they do it really well, and so. When Blake became available, we saw that as a good fit. That took us up to 10 O-linemen. So, having 20, we do believe the game starts and up front. And, I think it's indicative, but our roster's indicative of that.
Was the appeal of playing for Chris Kasarik something that brought Kamoko back? Because he had 5.5 sacks last year. So
Yeah.
Opportunities elsewhere.
I think it brings a lot of people to here, brings a lot of people back. I think more than anything, when you have a coach who is going to invest their whole heart, soul, being into making you a successful player. Is he going to be demanding? Absolutely. But are you going to learn? And then that's that's doubled down on by that room. There's a bunch of good dudes that really pull for each other, and I think it can be a spot like that because everyone can play. Not everyone's up on game day, but we rotate them through. You know, my old coach Rod Marinelli used to tell those guys, run till your heart blows up, then run some more. And that Chris is very similar. Like go, 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 and don't be looking at the sidelines for us to take you out. We'll take you out because we've got not just depth, but real depth of guys who can play. And we're excited about that group.
Take two more.
Adam, just after seeing the whole preseason work of Spencer Burford, what's his NFL readiness potential, and was he everything you hoped he would be when you guys took him in the fourth round?
Yeah, he's a guy who was a tackle really his last couple of years in college and played a little bit of guard in college too. So moving him inside, you never know how that's going to go. But I think he's held pretty well there and playing right guard the whole time. And he'll have his wins, he'll have his losses, good days and bad days. But you see incremental growth every single day. And I think he's got a really bright future. He's got really long arms. He's very strong. He's smart, and he's a hard worker. So that's all you can ask for.
Dante Johnson never seems to go very far from the roster. What's the plan with him and, the free safety spot while Jimmy is dealing with an injury?
Yeah, that's one that, man, that's the most brutal. Those conversations, they're all brutal. But that, talking to Dante, and it feels like it's happened so many times, and so I think it comes down to Dante, we value you, and then it's kind of you feel like they're hollow words. Well, why do you keep doing this? And it's because we trust him. He's dependable. I think never was that more true than late last year when I think in the same game we played him at nickel and safety. He had played corner earlier in the year, and these are at important times deep in the playoffs, and it's just always there for us. And so I hate that it comes down to that he didn't make it, because for a large part of the offseason, right down to the end, really, we felt like he was. But when certain things break on your 53 that you feel like you need to go strong and heavy at other positions, well, then there's always a trickle down, and so you have to make tough calls. But I think, I'm really thankful and grateful that Dante believes in this organization enough that he came back for us, and he's the type of guy that will come in. I promise you he'll be playing at some point for us and do a great job. That's what he does. As for free safety, we're going to let that play out. We've got options with, Huff has been tremendous and I think really asserted himself, and I'm really excited to watch him play. I think he's a football player who, year one showed some flash, and year two showing, real consistency and a grasp for a position and a comfortability, and now he's got to go do it. But excited about him. George Odom came over, and we knew we had a Pro Bowl special teams player, but a guy we thought and had demonstrated last year for Indy could play safety at a high level, and he gives us a great option. Gibson has been a nice add, although he didn't come until, I think we were in our second or third day in Minnesota when we got him on board. So, but he's a vet, kind of played in a version of this system with Danny Bullock's down in Jacksonville. So he took to it really quick. So all those guys will be in the equation. Am I missing anyone there? Dante will be part of that equation, and T. Moore, of course. Yeah, T. Moore.
Is Dante Johnson on the practice squad?
Practice squad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
With the money you guys saved cap-wise with Garoppolo, do you plan on doing any extension or contracts before the season?
I can tell you, I'm not going to tell you who, but we're talking to a few players. So, I've been more focused on our roster, been leaving that to Prague and Hamp, and we'll try to pursue that and see if it makes sense for them, for us, and always trying to lock up our good players.